am really lucky my parents granted me the opportunity to study abroad.
For me, ang laking tulong na ginawa ng parents ko to allow me to study abroad, allow me to have this experience. I'm very grateful and indebted to them. Now, the least that I can do is that once I land in Canada, I can figure out the rest. So with that, parang really started looking at part-time jobs, also like adapting to yung way of life here with the family that I lived with, but also in Canada in general. So the school that I attended was BCIT, or British Columbia Institute of Technology, and I took a 1-year certificate program in communication design. It's an introductory course to parang siyang compressed program of marketing and graphic design into one. So it's really like packed courses in that 1 year. And part of the reason why I chose that program is mainly because I just had a knack for like tapping into the creative side, or like, yeah, I really wanted to learn more about graphic design.
I still vividly remember my first day high.
It was also my first, for example, figuring out the commute. I didn't want to be late for my first class, so I decided to leave 3 hours earlier than my intended time to leave home, just so if mamala man ako, okay lang, may oras pa ako. And in terms of yung first day of school feeling, just for context, I started in fall, so October 2017. And at that time, parang it's Vancouver's rainy season then. So I was pre-warned naman po by my aunt and uncle na maulan, so you have to really bring an umbrella everywhere you go. And we also lived somewhere on the side of like a hill. It was a long walk up to the bus stop, which was like a 15-minute walk from home. So all those factors was like very daunting or like very challenging to begin with, kasi of course, like back in the Philippines, it's as simple as hopping on the car and then dealing with the traffic lang, dealing with all the external elements. But yeah, I remember just it being really rainy, and I was 3 hours ahead. I was at the school like maybe 2 hours before my actual class.
While studying, I took on part-time jobs, pandagdag sa daily expenses, and of course, to save up.
I really tried to aim for new minimum wage jobs that are more like labor intensive, so that I could reserve yung brain juices ko for academics, kasi yun po talaga yung priority. So I got into a lot of sales associate jobs and also did like receptionist. And those are very front-facing po. And as an introvert, talagang I was like, oh my God, dami kong yung English ko, like focus reach. And having to have that like front-facing personality pa was a challenge, but sinadya ko po talaga to get those roles in order to break out of my shell. In terms of the hours that I work po, so part of my study permit conditions states na we're allowed to work 20 hours per week, no more than that. So it's also another thing to be aware of. So when you're applying for jobs, you have to make it known to them that you can only work 20 hours per week. Not a lot of employers are aware, and some of them might not care. So you really have to be strict with yourself that you can't go over or beyond the 20 hour per week, kasi that's a violation of your study permit conditions.
I am thankful to have a place with my relatives. It saved on costs, and it kept my family's mind at ease.
Nahiya po ako na I'm staying with my relatives, kasi prior to that, they've never met me, or we've only come across each other when they visited the Philippines for vacation, but there's not much history. I'm also aware of the practicality na I can't afford to live by myself at that point in time. And nagkataon po na my relatives are very supportive, and they were very understanding of parang how expensive it is to live in Vancouver.
But here comes the plot twist again.
To be honest, I would say that the first couple years have been difficult in terms of finding my group or set of friends. Kasi po, namely, I took a 1-year program, and most of the people are in that age group where they already have their own set of friends, may mga childhood friends na sila, or they have work or their own families. Because I think yung age group in my cohort was between like 20 to even 20 to 30 years old. It was definitely challenging for me to insert myself and like find a steady group to hang out with. When I was in the Philippines, madali lang yung parang lunch tayo or labas tayo, kain tayo, or you want to hang out before class, ganyan. Here, I think people are very mindful or like they value time, so they want do notice. But eventually, you find your people through wherever you're affiliated. People were very polite din po when they knew that I was new to Canada.
Finding my tribe took a while, but it was worth the wait.
I had classmates that showed me around the area, the different neighborhoods, or the spots that they go to, which was really nice. And that kind of evolved in over time when I started working, and then some of the people that I've worked with then are fellow international students or are immigrants. Parang nagkaroon kami ng solidarity in the newcomer experience po. And then eventually when, for example, I started dating, then that also opened up another world of like where I have access to, for example, my partner and his friends. So, ganun po naging building blocks.
And the quick tip I learned.
Make ease pala of meeting people when you reach out. It seems quite intimidating to meet people at first, but kahit as simple like reaching out on, for example, LinkedIn or even Instagram. It's like, hey, you wanna go for coffee? Like, I know you through this and that. Mabilis lang pala yung setup. And from there, you can establish like acquaintances and then hopefully build that into something deeper. May mga times I would cry in silence, and I'm also living with relatives. I don't want them to worry. My work permit was about to expire. I'm on a visitor record living in Canada where I can't work, so my finances were dwindling. I remember booking my flight na